got my extender yesterday from Amazon, and so far from what I've been able to test, it seems like I have a much better connection. So if you were watching yesterday, I was cutting in and out. I told you guys I'm really feeling this Mercury retrograde shadow phase. And actually, while I'm here, I don't know how long my light is going to last me, but we're going to go over Kevin Federline and Britney Spears' Synastry, because we went over Britney's natal cosmodynes the end of last week to show you guys how to do, find your power in your chart. And so I'll link that below later on in the playback, unless one of you wants to do it. Or, well, yeah, I don't know how I get in the chat on the phone. Let me see. When does Mercury go retro? 2023. I looked it up, but it'll be, no. It says it was just August. I thought there was one coming up. Okay. I thought it was going to be retrograde through Christmas. It'll begin on, the pre-retrograde shadow will begin on November 25th. Mercury retrograde 2023. Just makes me a liar. Mercury will be in apparent retrograde. It's only showing me through September 24th. But I could have sworn there was one coming up. December 13th to January 1st. Okay, yeah. So it's not even quite 2 weeks before. I don't know what transit is going on, but I told you guys I've been having a lot of technical difficulties the past week. And I explained, like, my Wi-Fi extender broke, but that was after I ran out of Wi-Fi and like went and paid to have it upgraded, and then I couldn't even use it. And then, I have to, it's like my billing period ends tomorrow, so I upgraded it and then didn't even get to barely use it. So that was fun. And so I finally got the extender from Amazon yesterday, and I feel like it actually works better than the extender I originally had. And the one I originally had was like really bulky, and I had to plug it in, and it had a cord, and then I had to put it on the dryer, so it was in between the hot spot and where I'm working at, and so it would just keep falling off the dryer. So I think that's why it quit working. And now the one that I have is like a plug into the wall, but it takes up 2 plugins. So I have it in a like a power strip type thing, and it's actually in almost a better spot now, and it just seems to be working much better. But we'll see how well this streams to you all, because yeah, everything's been going like lightning, but the one thing that I check is when I upload videos for clients, that's like the thing that takes the most Wi-Fi, or will show me how efficient it really is, and I haven't had one yet. So kind of a recap of yesterday, I was telling you guys that I bumped into an old friend, and I looked us up in Cafe Astrology, and I have my sun at 21 degrees Aries. He has a Venus-Mars conjunction at 23 and 24 degrees Leo, and for some reason Cafe Astrology isn't saying Venus, Sun trine Venus, Sun trine Mars when I pull it up. So, be careful with that. I do love Cafe Astrology, but I think DivineTimingDatabase.com is more efficient. Now, if you don't have the birth time, you just put, when you add a person without the birth time, you just put 12 and then 0 and then unknown, and it just won't run the moons. So today, if you want to follow along like we did with the cosmodynes for Britney, you can go to DivineTimingDatabase.com. That's what I was just talking about. And then the username is Celebs, C-E-L-E-B-S, and I'll put it below for the playback, and then the password is the same, Celebs. So I just added Kevin Federline, and I pulled up their Davison, their composite, and their Synastry going both ways. So if you want to pull up their Synastry going both ways, her ID number is 131 and his is 132. And you'll see it on there. It's the blue number next to their name where you see the list of celebrities in their names. So I put 131 and 132, and then I put 132 and 131 and pulled up both ways so I can see how it's overlaying both sides. So I'm not going to spend too much time going over every single detail of their charts. I'm just going to show you guys what pops out to me. So just as far as the house overlays go, because that's a little advanced, and if you don't have your birth times, you can't look this up with someone. But for those of you who know, you know. So let's just go over their overlays, what's important in their, what I see in the Davison and composite really quick, and then we'll hop into the aspects, because that's really the determining factor for me on whether a couple's going to work out. And the beautiful thing about that is we don't need the birth times for it. And usually if there's deal breaker or divorce aspects, you don't even need to know the moon signs. Like for example, they have Mars square Pluto, which is one of my deal breaker divorce aspects. I tell you guys that people often get married with Mars square Pluto. They seem like the perfect couple on the outside, and then out of nowhere they divorce. And then they also have Mars square Jupiter. So you know, sometimes it can be hard to even get married with that one. That's sort of like you crush on each other forever, or you have this hot romance and fling, and then it kind of fizzles. But like I was saying yesterday, sometimes when you have other strong Pluto conjunctions, or even that Mars square Pluto, that can almost make people stick out a Mars square Jupiter, where most couples will break apart pretty quickly with it because it's just such a strong energy and a challenging energy. But Britney and Kevin are ascendant twins to about an 9-degree orb. Her ascendant is 2 degrees Libra. His is 11 degrees Libra. Now I'm seeing here that Britney's vertex, which is a point that it's a calculation, I believe, between the sun, moon, and the ascendant is the vertex. That might be the point of fortune, but the vertex is a calculation. And so what astrologists believe is that the vertex activates things. So it's got to be activated by a transit. And you know, when you meet a person, they are like a transit, however their synastry overlays to you. That's why some people will bring you really good luck and some people will bring you really bad luck. It's just however they're overlaying into your chart. So it is interesting that Britney's vertex is 11 degrees Libra in 44 minutes, and Kevin's ascendant is 11 degrees Aries in 44 minutes, and Kevin's descendant is 11 degrees Aries in 6 minutes. So her vertex sits right on his descendant, which is the 7th house cusp, which is the house of marriage and legal partnerships. So she definitely activated him to want to get married. Now he has his Venus and Mercury in Aries in his 7th house, and this overlays into her 7th house. So Venus in the 7th house is a real love marriage there. There was a lot of love there. Their Davison and composite, though, aren't great. Now, a Davison and composite, the Davison is like the birth time, like for example, for these two, their Davison. So he was born March 21st, 1978, and she was born December 2nd, 1981. So their Davison is January 28th, 1980. It's smack. The time and the place, the longitude and latitude, smack dab in the middle of their birthdays and their birthplaces. She was born like in the South, and he was born in Fresno. So I don't know where this longitude and latitude actually would be, but you could actually look it up, and it's going to be someplace in the United States between Fresno and, I believe she was born in like Alabama or Missouri or Mississippi or something like that. Sorry, you guys, if you know, you can write it in the comments. My light's dimming, so I want to knock this out so I don't have to go chase down the other light. But their Davison and composite, one of you was saying the other day in the comments, isn't that more important? Well, if the aspects and the moons aren't good, the Davison and the composite don't matter. Often, though, you'll find when there's really good synastry that the Davison and composite will reaffirm that. For these two, in the Davison, they have Pluto in the 7th house, which caused them transformation. Most of their Davison planets are in the 6th house, which they worked together, you know. Let's see if I can get this to... And then they have their Davison Sun and Mercury in the 11th house. So, you know, that's sort of like wish fulfillment of they saw each other as the perfect, like they saw... 11th house is wish fulfillment network. So they saw each other as the perfect match. Moon in the 2nd house is a lot of security in their Davison. they brought to each other a lot of emotional security and financial security. The composite, they don't even have, that vertex averages to 22 degrees Aries, because his vertex is in Taurus and hers is in Aries at 11, so it averages to 22 degrees. Because remember, the composite is the midpoint. So it's taking both their house systems. For example, Britney's ascendant is 2 degrees Libra and his is 11 degrees Libra. So their composite ascendant is 6 degrees Libra. It's just the average of the like midheaven, which aligns with the ascendant. Now, the other day when we were talking about them, I was rattling off all these Libra risings that have a midheaven in Cancer. And most of you were probably like, well, doesn't everybody who has a Libra rising with a midheaven in, wouldn't they have a midheaven in Cancer? Well, no, Courtney Love has her midheaven in Leo, even though she's a Libra risings. But yes, most of them will have it in Cancer. So like if your ascendant is in, one of the modalities, for example, theirs is Libra, that's cardinal modality, then you would just, all your angles, your descendant, midheaven, and IC would usually all be in cardinal signs. But sometimes, the degrees aren't exact, so it can be, like, for example, with Courtney Love, her midheaven is in a fixed sign, Leo. It's just one off from Cancer. It just got pushed out because, it's not, we're not doing the equal house system. I don't, some astrologers are like, it's equal house system only. No, Okay. We'll do that. I'll put that on the docket. We'll talk about equal house systems and I'll probably bring this up again. But I want to get into the actual, so we talked about the overlays, which one is this? I think this is, Kevin is Aries 1 degree. Yeah. So his Pluto is in Britney's, overlaying into Britney's first house, because first house, fifth house, seventh house are pretty much the most important. Second house and fourth house can be vital as well for a couple staying together. But so like I said, his Venus and Mercury are in her seventh house, which is significant for love, marriage. And then his Pluto's in her first house, which can be a little bit of possessiveness over her physical body. It's also in his own first house. So he's very body conscious. It's pretty close. It's closer to his ascendant. It's 15 degrees and his ascendant's 11. That's probably, why he's a dancer and very in touch with his body as well. So we were talking the other day about this and I was saying, Libra, there's something with the body. And then I was remembering a few other examples of that. Like I have a client, a really good client of mine, she subscribes to, so she might see this on the playback, but she's got a Libra moon and she was a professional dancer, like ballerina type of dancer, which that crossed my mind after, or I would have mentioned it. Or it might be contemporary, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure she was pretty high level dancer. And anyway, so it is in the moon too, the moon and the ascendant that you'll see dancers. Okay, so that's pretty much all I'm going to do for the overlays. For this, they don't have any fifth house overlays, and Britney's vertex is on his seventh house cusp. So again, the activated marriage. So they really don't have very much, aside from being ascendant twins by, again, like 9 degrees. And so having very similar houses, probably having very disciplined and structured childhoods. Maybe they found a similar work ethic because they have a lot of planets in the 6th house in their Davison. They don't really have a lot of romantic overlays. Yeah, maybe Britney's Saturn and Moon might be in his 11th house. So, he saw her as Moon in the 11th house and Saturn. He saw her as security, and that Moon that goes into their composite, he found financial stability and security through her as well. But really, that is sort of a thing when you look and they have good synastry. Usually the Davison and the composite line up. So it's not that the Davison and the composite can overrule it. There is things that overrule other things. Moon compatibility can overrule, divorce aspects for longer. Like I was talking about yesterday, my friend, he had Mars square Saturn with the first woman and they lasted for 4 years. He said actually almost to the day when I told him that. And then, because I always say 4 to 5 years. And then the wife, the one he married, had kids with, they have Mars square Saturn, and they lasted 15 years. Again, I didn't get around to kind of trying to verify her moon, but it could just be that the moons were more compatible. Anyways, or it could be that he's familiar with that energy because he already dealt with it before. But anyways, so these two have Mars square Pluto, 4 or 5 years divorce. Their suns are trine Aries and Sagittarius. There's Sun trine Mercury, Sun conjunct Neptune. That's very dreamy. You know, he was kind of like her dream guy. Like when she saw him, she's like, oh my gosh, that's the guy like that's been in my dreams that I've been waiting for. I might have to go get the other light, you guys. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll just go grab it really quick while no one's in here. On the playback, you can just like, I always do that when I'm watching something, like skip forward 10 seconds. Yeah, I don't even know if I charged it up, but 2 seconds. I should have brought it in here. Forgive me for that. I probably could have muted the microphone. Okay. Hopefully it's all going well. Yeah, there were a few things that happened with my just tech. I mean, it was like Murphy's Law this past week, which is usually how I feel when Mercury's retrograde. So I'm definitely feeling it early. I don't know why. Mm. I should look up all my transits. We should do that. Oh, it's already, well, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so I don't know who will be around, if I'll hop on or not. I have a Friendsgiving to go to on Friday. It was so sweet because, I told you guys my friend's going through divorce, and then our friend that we grew up with, who was like I told you, like a brotherhood that I was like baby sister of, um, he kept calling. He's like, "Who are you with?" And then he goes, "Because we went to dinner last night." So he finally, because he wasn't gonna tell him just because people talk, and we're just like having fun. So he's like, "Oh, Blondie, oh, invite, like, come on, come over, and we're gonna have Friendsgiving on Friday." And then my friend, he's going through a divorce, so he just like beamed. He's like, "Oh. So I'm excited about that because our friend, he won't come to like kind of the place where we all hang out because lots of different reasons. So I'm like, oh well, at least I'll get to see him again. They're like brothers to me, so it's gonna be a nice Friendsgiving on Friday, and then tomorrow, just doing random family stuff. But um, anyways, so their Mars are sextile. So not only is this good in the bedroom, their Mars sextile Mars is really good for dancing together. Okay, so in Cafe Astrology, and I don't have it pulled up in there. Again, I'm at divinetimindatabase.com if you want to go, and they're already in there. So you put their ID number, so you can pull this chart up and follow along. Let's just see though. Virgo and Cancer is the signs that their Mars are in. But and I told you guys, like, I'm a Virgo moon and Cancer moons, and I really vibe. But Mars sextile Mars is just this real flow of energy. Tony Gaskins and his wife have it. But anyways, so it says like I think it's Mars. I think it might be Sun sextile Mars. Yeah, because I have that with a few Leos, like all late July Leos, and it says like their body rhythms are in sync. It's invigorating or something. That's very Mars sextile Mars. Like you're gonna. I talked about with Mars square opposition Saturn, you might feel like you're tripping over each other. With Mars sextile Mars, you're just gonna flow. Like you go right, I go right. Like and then they're dancers too. So yeah, Mars sextile Mars definitely helps them dance together on a professional level. So they have Sun trine Sun. I'm not gonna go because there's a whole list of aspects. So I'm just gonna go down where I haven't. To you guys. So I told you my um, my interpretations of the synastry aspects, but I almost don't want to go fill them all out. I just haven't gotten around to it. For one, I went and did most of the deal breakers and a lot of the good ones, because I can just scroll down right now and there's like a bunch that are just kind of clumped together. Um, and then the ones with definitions, I can just scroll down and it pops right out at me. Oh, okay, deal breaker, Mars square Jupiter, right there, bam. So I'm almost haven't gone and done all the definitions just because I want the most prominent ones to stand out when I'm scrolling down. Mars square Neptune, I don't love. Now, my friend's cousin got married in the last couple years. It seems to be going really well for them. And he had me pull the chart because he had me pull like his siblings' divorces and stuff. And I made him a believer basically because I just kept proving. And he remembers what I say too, so he holds me to it. Like if I date someone where our moons aren't compatible, even if it's like that Libra moon on my south node and like in my first house, I'm like, well, it's like 15 degree out of sign conjunction. She's like, the moons aren't in the same polarity, so, and I told you guys that's my south node return. Now I have this Aries moon guy coming in on my north node return, so I'm like, well, at least we're moving towards the north node now. Anyways, so Mars square Neptune is like, I don't love it, but say you came to me because my friend's cousin's marriage is going okay. It's like about 4 or 5 years in, and I wish them the best. I'd be like, okay, well, if it's going well for you. But if you have Mars square Neptune with Mars square Jupiter and Mars square Pluto, I'm going to tell you, this isn't your person. If you're separated, like, especially if you've been together 4 or 5 years, it's probably not going to work. You're probably not going to get back together. I tell people that too. I tell clients, like, oh, okay, you guys are separated and you've only been together 2 or 3 years. You might get back together, but it's only going to last 4 or 5 years. So just be aware, especially for women that want to have children and stuff that are like in their 30s. I'm like, do you want to spend 3 more years on this, or do you want to go look for your person, If you do, enter divinetimingdatabase.org. I have a lot of good guys in there because and it's good to have open-minded men, because a lot of men are like, no, I don't believe in astrology, and they don't know anything about it. You don't want a guy like that. Okay, so they have Jupiter trine Jupiter as well, which I think is a great marriage aspect. So yesterday I was talking about that client that gave me a bad review. That's like, the moons don't apply to my situation. Well, she also had Jupiter square Jupiter with the guy. So I think that's why he also may have never officialized it, but I didn't even go that far. Jupiter trine Jupiter, I told you guys yesterday, anytime Jupiter is involved, there's more of a likelihood for it to be legalized. So people look at it like, oh, he just married her for her money and da 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 da. Well, no, there's some real Venus in the 7th, his Venus landing in her 7th house. That's a pretty loving marriage aspect. So there was love there. They did get married in love, on both sides, genuine. Jupiter trine Jupiter, they very, these 11th house contacts that they have in the synastry and the composite, like, they were each other's wish come true. They really wanted it to work. Nobody was using anyone at first. Maybe now he might have got the better end of the deal with, child support or whatever, however that worked out. Jupiter opposite Neptune, you see that a lot. I feel like I see it in marriages that are working, but I see it too, like, in couples that are like celebrity couples where it's like they're traveling, right? Or like long distance, because Jupiter and Neptune both rule foreign places. So Jupiter opposition or square Neptune can be where you have to be long distances away from each other. And, it's all about not being able to live up to the promises. So it might be like, yes, we'll both be home for Christmas. And then all of a sudden, one of them races home and the other one gets stuck in the foreign country. And it's like, there's nothing they can do, but they're both really disappointed, Mars square Pluto, again, perfect couple on the outside. I don't know if they seemed perfect to us or not back then. But yeah, 4 or 5 years in. Now, I don't know how long they were married, but I already told you guys when we did her power that her moon's in Aquarius and his moon is in Virgo. His is 0 degrees. So they want to stay without even Mars square Pluto. Let's see, how long were they legally married? I usually count those time frames from when the couple got together, because usually when Mars square Pluto breaks a couple up, they could have been dating for 2 or 3 years and then they got married, and then it'll be like 2 years. So it's like 4 or 5 years total. Sometimes though, I do see it where it kind of starts at the marriage date. So like, let's say their moons aren't compatible. That gives them 10 years-ish, give or take. is it Catherine Heigl? She has a Virgo moon like me. And I don't know. I don't particularly love her, but which is funny because her moon's close to mine, and she's a Sagittarius, and me and Sagittarius get along well. Trine Aries, but she seems too stuck up to me. But maybe we would get along really well in real life. Maybe she's really down to earth. What was I going to say about her? Oh, I think I looked up her and her husband, and I don't know if I could verify the moons with the places at that time, but they had terrible synastry, and they've been together like 15 years. So some couples do stick it out for the kids and stuff, but I don't remember if my friend had been hanging out. Someone told me they waited till the day the kids turned 18 and they signed off. You know, some people will do that. So the marriage might have been over at 10 years for Catherine Heigl. Maybe she's just sticking it out for the kids. How long were Britney and Kevin Federline married? The two were married from 2004 to 2007, so about 3 years. How long were they together? They were married 2004 to 2. They had a custody battle, which is kind of Mars square Pluto. My friend was saying that about him for Mars square Saturn, but I think it's way, way, way worse with Pluto square Saturn. Pluto square Saturn, it's just like a fight to the death. There is no compromise. Mars square Saturn, Mars square Pluto, yeah, it sucks. You know, somebody's going to lose. It's not really fair. But Pluto square Saturn is the worst, okay? Because it'll just go on and on. I mean, theirs has gone on forever too, but it's where somebody gets really screwed. Like, somebody ends up paying like all their money in Pluto square Saturn. Or like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, we saw them just battle it long after the divorce. 1 second. And yeah, like maybe Britney's kids aren't really like, maybe they're kind of turned against her, but she still got to see her kids, even though maybe not. I'm not like making light of the situation, but I'm just saying that with Pluto square Saturn, it would have been like, you never see the kids again ever from the divorce date or something, you know. Let's see. What was I? Okay. Their relationship timeline. People via People magazine. Let's see. Oh my goodness, it's just like a hot mess. Like myself. No, just kidding. Don't speak bad about yourself, guys. Okay. It's just like all people must be more mobile friendly. It's just like 2006, she files for divorce. It's just like all her relationships jumbled on here. Oh, well, so their marriage was about 3 years. With Mars square Pluto, I doubt this lasted more than 5 years total. After just 3 months of dating, the two tied the knot in September 2004 during a surprise wedding in Studio City. Yeah, so, okay. They didn't even make it 4 or 5 years, but they had Mars square Jupiter. So they're lucky they made it the first 3 months. They probably tied the knot then because they probably thought, oh my gosh, like the world's going to pull us apart. So let's legalize it. Jupiter trine Jupiter. That'll keep us together. And then it was just a battle to stay on the same page the whole time. And then Mars square Pluto started to kick in. And where most couples, it would take a year or two to break them apart. You had Mars square Jupiter and the rest of the world and all of that attention. And yeah, they were donezo. So, you know, they had some great chemistry. Mars sextile Mars, ascendant twins. They had like similar backgrounds in certain ways as far as like relating about their parents with that Capricorn IC, and about, you know, being presentable and pleasant with that Libra rising, being very loving and nurturing to the world with the Cancer midheaven. they probably both treated the waiters well. I don't think I've ever heard that Britney Spears is a snob to waiters or anything like other celebrities. So, yeah, so basically they both had a strong work ethic, a lot of sixth house planets in the Synastry, in the composite, and the Davison. But yeah, it was Mars square Jupiter, Mars square Pluto, incompatible moons. They made it about 3-4 years. It's interesting too, though, because I've only seen one client that has Mars square Jupiter. I think it was Mars opposition Jupiter with children. It's not a very fertile aspect because Mars and Jupiter are very masculine. And there was one opposition one, like 20-25 years, where my client, I think she wasn't entirely sure if her husband was actually the father, but he'd raised him. And I think he knew that there was a possibility he wasn't, but they never did paternity because this is a while ago. I don't even know which client it was. So I don't feel like I'm calling them out. So I've always felt like that's not a very fertile aspect because I never see couples with children with it. But Britney Spears and Kevin Federline had it, and they had children. So, I guess it is possible with Mars square Jupiter. But anyway, so that's sort of my rant for today. Yeah, it's a real bummer it cut out yesterday. I went on a whole tangent about how you guys need to join the database because you at least need to run the Synastry on Cafe Astrology or DivineTimingDatabase.com and make sure that you don't have Mars square Saturn, Mars square Pluto, Mars square Jupiter, Pluto square Saturn, at the very least. I don't love Mars square Neptune. Mars square Uranus isn't going to be very fun for you. Venus square Uranus, I don't see couples make it more than 4 or 5 years with it either. Even though it doesn't, some of them are just so insidious. Like, they don't seem that bad, but they just wear on the couple over time and it can't be sustained. So Venus, Mars square Uranus, and Mars square Neptune. Venus square Neptune can work. I've seen that in long marriages. 75-year marriage had it. That was the longest one I ran. Jupiter square Neptune, I've seen a lot of 20-year marriages. But Jupiter square Neptune can be, for me, I haven't had good luck with it. But the two that I dated, I had with it. We also had Saturn square Sun. So I think they were just kind of controlling. An Aries Sun, a square Capricorn Saturn. Saturn is, well, he's exalted in what I say Libra, but he's the most powerful in Capricorn aside from that. So it's a very strong, rigid Saturn. But it is on my IC. So it does give me stability. But squaring my Aries Sun with such a powerful, harmonious Aries, it just breaks. But my ex-husband was a Capricorn, and so his sun squared my sun to some varying degree. And I was thinking about this the other day, because he was a December Capricorn, and I get along really well with December Capricorns and early January Capricorns, because their sun is conjunct my Neptune, kind of like Britney and, was it a conjunction they had here? With their Neptune? Let me go down, 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 down. Sun conjunct, I think it was trine Neptune. Neptune's just so dreamy. It was like Sun square Neptune. You got to be careful because this person isn't going to live up to your expectations. I told you guys that, but it can be worked through, but it might break a couple up initially because you might see a side of them and think, oh my gosh, they're not at all. Like their mask slipped or something, but if you can make it past that. But with the trine and the conjunction, it's just so dreamy. So it's so interesting to me because the one Capricorn that I felt like I got along with the best and really could have probably married, but we also have Mars square Saturn, I believe. Actually, though, I went back and looked and I didn't see it. Sometimes I think Cafe Astrology messes up. I should use the DivineTimingDatabase.com more, but or it might be if you run one way and the other. I got to figure out what's going on there, but I run so many charts. That's the issue there. So sometimes I muddy them together, but I had Venus conjunct Mars with him. So, but he was January 16th, so the furthest from my sun, from my Neptune. So his sun was squaring my sun the most. And actually, two of my best girlfriends growing up are January 11th. I'm April 11th. So that's the tightest sun square you can get with Capricorn and Aries. But they're both, I think, Gemini moons. So I don't know. Anyway, now I'm just going on a little astrology, like down a rabbit hole. But yeah, okay, so one last thing I'll say before I wrap this up is that I'm going to be putting all my readings and packages on rotation411.com 50% off for Friday and Saturday. It's going to take 5 to 10 business days to fulfill for you, but I will, the tarot readings, I'll probably do, I'll have those done by like within a week, not business days. So like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'll probably get most of those out to you guys for tarot readings. But for astrology packages, it's 5 to 10 business days. But it'll all be, if you order, it'll midnight Thursday, midnight Friday, 12:01 a.m. Friday morning, Black Friday. All my packages on rotation411.com, tarot readings, birth charts, Synastry, the huge wedding date package, all of that will be 50% off Friday and Saturday. So Saturday till midnight. I thought about doing it Sunday. No, just Friday and Saturday. And I was going to do a coupon code too, but I'm not. But anyway, so yeah, if you've been wanting to order a Synastry package or birth chart package from me, I think too, it'll even be like laminated and framed. I'm not sure yet about that. The laminated and framed birth charts will be 50% off also. So, and I think the shipping's included on those. So yeah, everything on rotation411.com will be 50% off Friday and Saturday, 48-hour sale for Black Friday. So I'm doing that for you guys. I thought about doing the divinetimingdatabase.org entry fee on sale, but no, we're not doing that. Because when you meet your match right now, the service is free for you to chat and everything. And soon, when we get more matches in there, you're going to be able to FaceTime and everything through there, kind of like Facebook and Instagram Messenger. So yeah, that's all free service for you. So I'm just going to keep the initial Divine Timing Database fee the same, but all of the packages on rotation411.com, 50% off, 48 hours, Friday, Saturday for Black Friday. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you who celebrate. And I think that's it, unless any of you can think of anything. All right, so I'm sending you all lots of love, blessings, and light as always, and have a very happy holiday weekend. Stay safe. Love you.